What's up, y'all? Welcome to my channel. My name is Brandy. If you are new here, I just do lifestyle stuff, recaps, story times, travel vlogging, and I just kind of give my opinion as an educated Black woman who has attended an HBCU. And I have also attended TWIs. Can I talk? Two PWIs. I'm currently getting a third degree at this time. So I have kind of a perception of this situation that I'm going to talk about from both sides. So the reason that I even decided to make this video is because there's a whole hoopla going on at Howard University because a bunch of students were disenrolled. So I don't want to dive too much into that because I want to make a specific point with this video because of things that I've been seeing from just people on both sides from this. But essentially what's going on at Howard is that a lot of students were disenrolled because they didn't guarantee certain funds, and Howard does things differently where apparently you have to have those funds guaranteed before the school starts, which that's never been my experience even at my other HBCU. We always pretty much you had to have your guaranteed funds by like a couple weeks after school started because people might drop classes and things like that. So I'm not familiar with the process anyway, but when I was looking up a lot of stuff, a lot of information and a lot of just look at talks and things about this situation, I was seeing a lot of conflicting things. I watched a bunch of stories from students who were disenrolled and then were able to advocate for themselves and get re-enrolled. And I'm hearing that there might have been a bit of shadiness on Howard's part, but then I'm also hearing that it seems like things were just communicated and maybe students just didn't understand the full like gravity of not paying attention to these emails or just kind of choosing to ignore them in general. Like one young lady said that she had a scholarship that was guaranteed, and that because she didn't sign with them that she was going to do a payment plan because apparently they were still waiting for the money. But she had already contacted them and they were getting ready to basically confirm with Howard that they were going to send the scholarship money over. They disenrolled her because she had that balance, even though she had that money and that they were aware. But apparently, I guess because she didn't sign a payment plan, they disenrolled her and she was able to, get reinstated. But that's not everybody's situation. Some people's situations are different. So again, I'm hearing kind of like conflicting stories about, is it more so that the students were just not paying attention and doing their due diligence, or is it Howard being shady? But a lot of the comments that kind of spiraled even away from that situation is why I want to have this conversation with people. And I don't want this video to take away from what HBCUs are and what the historical significance of HBCUs are, because I full on understand that, having attended one and finally being seen for the first time. But we just have to get honest about a couple things, right? So some of the comments that made me concerned were people kind of going into this thing where I am, shocked at how many people are, regardless of the situation, are downplaying HBCUs and are criticizing HBCUs, regardless, basically kind of saying that, in a sense, that HBCUs can mess up and they should be allowed to mess up, and you can't say anything about it. That's pretty much what I'm getting from it, instead of people just kind of like holding them accountable if they are messing up. So again, I don't know specifically who's right or wrong, because I'm just hearing so many conflicting things. But one thing that I really don't like, and I've even experienced this when I've talked about my own experience at my HBCU to my circle of friends, or even other people who graduated from the same college as me, is that we're just supposed to kind of like give these HBCUs a pass because of the important role that they play in the Black community, and I'm just not for that anymore. Excuse me. So we understand that HBCUs are these places that create magic. They're supposed to be safe spaces for people of color. However, they have issues like any other places. And unfortunately, a lot of things that come up with HBCUs, sorry, let me fix my pillow, it's kind of cute, right? A lot of the things that come up with HBCUs that I've noticed, and this is just not me, my own experience having with my HBCU. This is me looking in at other people's videos and looking at their experiences and asking people. HBCUs have administrative problems. They do not have the same, and this is just real spill, guys. We have to keep it 100. They do not have the same, in my opinion, the same quality that other schools do. And I guess I would be referring to PWIs, because from my first entrance into my program, I was having issues that I just felt like I just did not have, and even are not having now at the current PWI that I am. And there just seems to be this general notion amongst, people that have graduated from historically black colleges that had great experiences, that everybody should have a great experience, and regardless of what goes on, it's just a part of the HBCU experience, and you just have to deal with it, and it just is what it is. And if you didn't have a good experience, that's on you. And I just don't like that, because sometimes it's not on us. Just because something is normalized in a certain setting doesn't mean that it's okay. People normalize racism and all, sexism and all types of isms and just discriminatory behaviors and practices for the longest, because it used to be just the way things were. And now that we've evolved, we understand that this is not the way that you treat people. And so I don't understand how people bringing up serious issues about financial aid and disenrollment and college experience, these are like impactful events, are turning this into, regardless of anything, why are people coming down on HBCUs? Now, I do agree, because there were some people that were commenting on HBCUs that haven't attended them. I do feel like, okay, if you haven't attended an HBCU, I do feel like people can still have an opinion on it. However, if you haven't yourself attended an HBCU, had the experience, I do feel like you should kind of be a bit cautious of how you choose to critique them, especially if you haven't had the experience, or you haven't put any money or time into enrolling or being a part of that type of culture. So I do get where people can be frustrated, where black people who have, and that's kind of more so where it was geared towards black people who attended PWIs, were kind of commenting on the situation, and then people were kind of just like, stay out of it, right? But people can have opinions, and I do feel like it's okay to criticize historically black colleges. It just is okay. Everybody does not have the same experience. And going back to my first point that I was going to make, was HBCUs have this goal of creating this safe space for students, but that just was not my experience. My HBCU was not really a safe space for me, and I talked about this in my Fort Valley State experience video, which I might have to do another detailed video on, because when I watched it, I was like, oh my god, I left out so much stuff that I wish I could have told y'all. But I was physically assaulted, I was sexually harassed, I was, dealt with a lot of administrative issues, dealt with a lot of financial aid issues upon arrival to school. There was just so many challenges that I faced that I did not experience anywhere else. And so you could say that in a sense, I might have this kind of bias against it. But again, at the end of the day, don't regret going, because I met the love of my life and I had an experience that I do ultimately feel shaped who I am now. Like, I have my moments with this where I'm like, I had, a crappy experience. I powered through, and I wish that I hadn't gone through what I went through, because there were some things that traumatized me during my experience. But at the same time, I can still understand the significance of me getting through that program and being surrounded by people who look like me, having a cohort of people that look like me, being in a space that was meant for me, that was directly meant to educate somebody like me. That holds a lot of significance to me, regardless of my experience there. And again, I think more of the critique comes from a place of love. And I wish that people would kind of get out of their feelings about it, especially if there are seriously issues that need to be improved, instead of making this about a bashing session of you shouldn't be talking about HBCUs. How about we turn this into what can we do to improve, and going forward make it that so that there is more a clearer communication between students, financial aid, and the whole corporation of people, because at the end of the day you need these students. It doesn't look good that all these students were just disenrolled, but again, I don't want to get too much into that because I do not know the full gravity of what's right and what's wrong. I just this situation happened, and I was just thinking about just all the comments that I was seeing, and it just kept going back to the same point. Stop talking about HBCUs. And I'm just like, baby, you cannot tell anybody what to say. I'm glad you had your experience, your great experience, but that's just not the same across the board. And I don't feel like enough people really talk about it because it can be sensitive. It can be sensitive, especially if you had a good experience, or you had a very, emotional tied experience, positive experience somewhere. It can be like, okay, are you what? It can feel like an attack. So I get it. But that's just what I pretty much wanted to say. And if anybody has had their own experiences, whether bad or good, I would love to hear about them. And I would love to hear your thoughts on the Howard situation. And if anybody can provide any more clarity on that, I would love to hear it. But I will see you guys in the next video. And thank you for tuning in. I'll see you later.